Hi, I'm Sunny Galt with Kid Points, and today we are talking about family stress. Dr. Keith Kanner is joining us. He is a psychoanalyst and he's also host of Your Family Matters. So tell me about the main stress factors that families typically face. What do you hear about?
Well, these days, Sonny, there's so many different things that families are stressed about today that they used to not be. Money is a big one, recession, and how a lot of parents have had to go back to work. So we have a lot of dual income families now because no longer are people able to stay home with their kids as much. And that's changed a lot of dynamics within families in general about, who takes care of the kids, how are you going to do it. Parents feel guilty about not being able to as much. So the economy has really played a big change in how families raise their kids these days, and also stress. Then we got to look at technology. With social media now, we never had Facebook or social media or the internet the way it is today as it never was years and years ago. And the influences that kids are exposed to these days through television, internet, computer games, it's just so vast, and at times can be overstimulating for kids. And with parents being so busy these days, they can't supervise them as much. So we've got technology, and we've got income and money, and then we've got academics now. It's harder now to get into college than ever before. These days, to get into, the University of California, because we're from California here, you need a 4.1 GPA to get into a University of California school such as UCLA, where 20 years ago, you could get in with maybe a 3.3 grade point average overall. So the academic piece of what our kids are facing these days has caused not only stress for the kids, but the parents too, because they worry their kids won't get into college now.
What kind of impact then does stress have on a family, and how do families deal with that?
Well, typically when people are stressed out, they don't get along well. It brings out the worst in people. So if you're an angry person and you're stressed, you're more angry. If you're a depressed person and you get stressed, you get more depressed. Kids are no different than that. And when kids witness their parents stressed, they get stressed too, because you have to look at your parents as safe havens for you to help calm you down. And if your parents are stressed, then your kids are going to probably be stressed too. So you'll see kids and parents alike being very stressed out these days for very different reasons. And oftentimes it comes out in fighting. That's typically what we see. Is we see more conflict that happens between child and adult because of stress. And if the parent isn't able to step back a little bit and look at the whole perspective a little bit objectively, they can get caught up in that too. And then you put stress back on your child, and then you're back into stress, and stress creating a lot of distance between parents and their kids, which is not a good thing.
Then, as families, how do you manage that stress? What tips would you have for people?
More than ever, parents need to go to their kids now and identify to them that there is a lot of stress, but be there for them and try to get them to talk about it with you as a parent. Talking really does help alleviate stress. And we always say to kids, use your words. So the more we can get our kids to talk about what's stressing them out with a parent who's understanding that and can put their stress aside a little bit, that decreases stress pretty quickly for kids. So one of the things that I like too is you get people to journal. It's called journaling. Because when you write things down and you keep track of it, you learn it better. It's another modality for learning. On the website, you've got that journal where you can print it out for yourself. You can use it as a family or individually. And you kind of keep an ongoing journal.
What other ways can parents help their kids deal with stress?
Playing with your kids is such an important function, and it's just as important for adults to play as kids. If you can play with your kids, doing something together, exercising together, going on hikes together, walking the dog together, playing with your child, playing board games, letting them pick something that they want to do with you, give them a whole list of things to do, is in itself a stress release. Because not only is it a way for kids to get things off their chest, but it's also a way for them to feel like they're relating to you. And your presence playing with them indicates that you're less stressed and relaxed, and that makes them feel like they can come and be closer and stronger with you. Have family rituals, things that you can do together. Play music together, read together, do homework together. The idea is spending time together, doing constructive things where you're supporting your child and they see that you're managing things too, really helps with stress.
And then how do you know if those efforts are working?
So you break it down and you look at, okay, do they have friends? And if they have friends, you know what, that's a thumbs up, because as soon as kids can differentiate themselves from somebody else, they can break up with their mom and develop new friends. And to do that, you've got to be pretty okay. Secondly, you want a sense that they feel really good about who they are as a person. So we're looking for their consciences to be there. So they think about the other person, maybe not all the time, but at least they're considering somebody else's feelings other than their own. And when they do something wrong, that they actually feel guilty about it. But in that case, it's like a good guilt, not a bad guilt.
Right.
Are kids taking care of themselves academically? We kind of look at kids until they get out of college that school is their job. And it's a good thing to talk about kids with. Look, you know what? My job is this, mom's job is this, and your job is to be a student. This is because when people have an investment in something that they're doing, it gives them purpose. So if you raise kids where you're reading as a family and academics are important and you're going to museums and things with them when they're little and you've got this academic side that you're building into their development, then school becomes less of a battle. But an indicator of a child who's managing stress well is one who, even though all this stuff is going on, school is still important to them and they do the best they can. You might have to, move them along, but they're into it.
What about quality time? Parents, obviously, we're encouraged and we want to spend time with our kids, and how can that impact family stress?
So you have to make that quality time with your kids the most important part of your life aside from making money. So I say to parents, look, if you have a really busy schedule, schedule in your kid time. You need family time where your whole family hangs out and does something together. And if you're on a time constraint, I believe in, family reading time is a very important time that most kids have to read at night. Schools require it, public and private. And a lot of times they'll read in their room by themselves, or they'll read downstairs with the dog. Well, how about the whole family takes out, you turn off the TV and the internet and Facebook and everything else, and you sit down, you actually read. You could read the same book, you could read 5 books, but everybody's doing something together. And reading's the one thing that has been told to us that builds intelligence faster than anything else as a child, being able to read. Number one way to increase your child's intelligence is to read.
Right.
So important. You do that together. Family dinners. Okay, we finally got some research that actually shows, somebody did a dissertation on it, that if you sit and have family dinners with your child 3 times a week, you reduce your child's chances of becoming addicted to drugs, addicted to alcohol, or pregnant before 16.
Oh my goodness.
There's also indicators of higher grades in school, better social relationships, and I think one of the numbers in the study was also greater, acceptance to college. Really, really important that, you make that time to be with your kids and do fun things. You're telling them, I want to spend time with you. It's important for me to spend time with you because I love you. Wow, you say that to a 14-year-old kid? That's going to be a tough one for them to, say, I'm not going to do it because, love's a pretty big thing.
Right.
Individualize your time too. If you have more than one child, then do your family time, but carve out 5 minutes, 10 minutes with each child by yourself. Other ones aren't allowed in, where you can talk, you can read, you can play a game. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But it's your one-on-one time with that one child. You've got to do that.
Right. Well, some great information today. Dr. Keith Kanner, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Sunny.